So I would like to introduce Danika Bloom, who is an indie romance author, USA Today best-selling author, and that is an accolade that is not easy to uh, to get. I'm not sure that USA Today is giving out bestseller status anymore, but I know back when they were, as an indie author, it was not an easy thing to become a best-selling author through USA Today. So congratulations on that acclaim. And Danica is instrumental in assisting people, especially first-time authors, to I'm sorry, I'm still letting people in, to launch their first book. And that's why I invited you to be here today, Danica, is because I know a lot of our authors, when it comes to launching a book, whether it's the first one or the 10th one, I mean, it's always a huge process.
hmm
So we would love it if you would share some insight with us on um,
Yeah.
wow, what should we do about that? And don't tell us that we start the day before we're going to launch.
No. No, we don't start the day before we're going to launch. And I just want to say hello, everybody. Colette Harrell is here. Hi, Colette, and also Susie, who are two members. I didn't promote this, talk about this inside my community, which I should have, but two of my Author Ever After members are here, and Susie just published her first book a couple of weeks ago, her very first debut novel, actually in June. So congratulations, Susie.
And
And
Susie, if you have not posted a link to that in the Romance Dreamweavers Facebook group, you are welcome to do that. I would love to have you do it. The only time I approve book promotions in the group is if the release is less than 12 months old. So if you just released that, that's something that we should know about.
yeah. So I would love to know. I mean, I don't even know what to expect here, Polly. You're not just going to hand the floor over to me for a whole hour.
No, no, oh, no. Well, first of all, we only go until quarter after, so it's only
Okay.
45 minutes. But other than that, I mean, we can open this up for general discussion on questions, or you might just give us a brief overview of, what do you see as being the correct process?
Well, okay. So correct meaning if you want to launch your book and make sales right out of the
Yeah,
gate.
yeah.
Because there is no like Susie, for instance, who's in my community, decided that she was going to launch her book with no fanfare, which is how I launched my very first one. It's just like I want to be a published romance author and I don't want to get stuck in all the overthinking. So with her first book, she published it. It is done, and now she's can has all of her author assets. And I'm speaking for you, Susie, but I wish you were on camera so we could see you and I could like celebrate you. But then there are other authors who, there you are, hello. Then there are other authors who are like, I would like to launch my book and have the reviews and the accolades and sell books and maybe even make a little bit of the money back that I invested in my editing and my cover design and things. So as Paula Judith said, starting the day before probably won't do that for you. Um, so it seems kooky. 6 months is a really good timeline for a pre-launch. Starting to talk about your book even before your book is finished, even if you don't have a very big social media following, even if your email list is still small, starting to talk about it and getting used to talking about it. Embracing the fact that you're not going to talk about it too much. Honestly, believe it. There's a woman, an author named Brianne Randall. Has anyone heard of Brianne Randall? She doesn't write romance. She writes women's fiction. And she started marketing her book. She's an indie. She started marketing her book a whole year in advance on TikTok. And you can go back and see her very first TikTok post. And over the course of a year, she kept saying the same thing over. It was her tagline. I think it was Practical Magic meets the Gilmore Girls, something like that. And she launched her debut novel. I believe it was a New York Times bestseller. Like that is incredible. But she focused on the promotion. So we probably aren't going to do that. But what we can do is start to focus on talking about our books everywhere. Have a freebie, have something that you can give away to for free, a prequel or something that is directly connected to the book that you're going to be publishing, like a novella with maybe crossover characters, and get yourself into group promos on BookFunnel and Story Origin. Prolific Works, I also believe, does that. I've never used them. I've used the other two successfully.
Yeah, I've used Prolific Works in the past, and they have a free version. Um, and with the free version, if I remember, because it's been quite a while, with the free version, it seems to me that you can make sales, you can giveaways. Um, Somehow, I think you actually get email addresses, but with the paid version, um, they make the email list for you. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's been a while,
Well,
but
worth
that's another place.
investigating. Yeah, worth investigating.
And
So
it works kind of like book funnels and Story Origin, where you can list it in giveaways with other authors like that.
yeah, so those will be your list builder. Really, really a valuable thing to start doing even before you have a book published on one of the retailers. And then the other thing that I would focus on and recommend folks focus on is your ARC campaign. So having a really robust advance review copy campaign. So it's a funny thing. There's a little bit of some folks have a challenge getting their mindset around this. You want to try to give away as many books as possible. Honestly, if you can give away 500 books, give away 500 books. Anna Huang is another romance author, and she has a series that she gave away 2,000 arcs. She set herself a goal, and I don't know how she found 2,000 people to give it to. She writes dark romance, so TikTok was very much her friend, but she was able to launch that series into the stratosphere as well. And then, of course, because it was a connected series, she had the sell through all the way through the series. So that's a strategy. If you can launch your book and have even 50 reviews in that first couple of weeks, you're providing social proof, which is going to be pretty helpful to, signal to readers who've never heard of you that their money is going to be well invested. So those are the two things that top of mind. I would love to now stop talking. So
No, in fact, I have a question because I am a huge proponent of an email list, a reader email list, sending out regular emails, recommending other romance authors to your list. Because we would all love to be able to put out a new book every 3 weeks or something like that. But let's be real. To keep our list enthused, I do recommend other romance authors. Oh, as a hint to anyone who wants to be featured in my newsletter to my readers, just drop me a line either in Facebook or at paulajudithjohnson@gmail.com, and we'll talk about that. Anyway, going back to this whole thing about a lead magnet, whether it's a novella, a short story, the first in a series. So, okay, you want to get your ARC readers. How far in advance are you gathering these ARC readers, and do you find them by giving away this lead magnet? Can you talk to me about anything of that?
really great question, because I kind of confounded those two. In my experience, have found that the folks who are joining my email list via a lead magnet, and let me just a sidebar on that one. If you don't have a lead magnet, there are some in BookFunnel, for instance, there are some author group swaps where you can collect email addresses that will allow you to put an excerpt from the book that you're about to make available. So if you don't have a lead magnet and you're pulling your hair out and thinking, oh my gosh, I really want to start growing my email list, find the ones that will allow excerpts. That's your like lowest pension to, to enter. So those folks are your readers who you want to be selling to, the people that are on your list for the most part. For instance, I have a list, it fluctuates. It's been up to almost 10,000 and now it's down to about 5,000 because I haven't been releasing a lot. Those folks, when I offer them my ARCs, they're like, they'll pre-order, but they don't want to ARC. They don't want the commitment of having to leave a review for the most part. Your ARC readers you find through services. Well, a lot of ARC, I have found a lot of ARC readers on Instagram going and following and finding people, bookstagrammers, right? So I'll look up like bookstagram hashtags that are related to bookstagram and rom-com and then send them a DM. I've got this book. I think 2 months is a really reasonable amount of time because the ARC readers who are busy, who have got the big audiences, their calendars are filled out. Like they already know what they're going to be reading in 2 weeks. So it'll also if you start a couple of months early on the social media piece, it gives you an opportunity to know, okay, I wanted to have 200 ARC readers for my last novel release. And, about 50% of them said yes. So that told me that I had to be growing, like going out and finding more people. So that's one route to getting ARC readers. And the other is using services like Hidden Gems and Booksprout and Book Sirens and NetGalley. Each of these services is fabulous for different authors, and you won't know which one is going to be the one that's going to hit for you until you've tried them all. For me personally, Booksprout is where I will get within a couple of days, at least 50 people will download my book. I have at least an 80% of those folks will actually review, and about a 4.6 average. On Hidden Gems, I might get 20 people. Like in a good book, I'll get 20 people, and they're not rating me as highly. They're not my readers over on Hidden Gems. So the way you find that out is you invest, $100 or so. I think Hidden, I can't remember all the prices, but you can do this for about $100. And NetGalley is a fabulous, fabulous service that is created for the trad publishers. So for us to be able to use NetGalley, we have to either buy into a co-op. So if you're going to publish a lot, I've done that. I bought into a co-op, and for I think it was $350, I could have books up all year long. Or you go to somewhere like, I think Victory Editing. I've forgotten the name. I believe that's one of them. For between $50 and $100, they will use their co-op seats and you can use them. The beauty of NetGalley is that librarians and booksellers and who are the other people? There are 5 different categories of people that'll pick up your books. And I have one friend, I'm trying to think, I don't want to say her real name, I want to say her pen name, Janine Loren, who when I had my co-op, I let her use my seat when I wasn't using it. And she gets, like librarians were just grabbing her books. She writes Sweet Later in Life, and it's perfect. And she does large print. So she is all over the libraries. And if you write that genre, it can be very valuable to you. Is that helpful?
Well, it is, but clarify for me, when you were talking about the $100, are you talking about the $100 per service? No,
No,
$100, $20 here, $20 there.
yeah, like Booksprout is I think it's $25. You want to get the one where you can communicate with them. So it is the higher priced one. That way you get to email, you get to message folks. With Booksprout, I love that you can invite people to your team. So I now have a team of 70 people who, when I release a new book, they automatically get the email. So they're always the first on. And you strategically invite people, right? One of the reasons why I have such a high review rating with the Booksprout folks is because if someone gives me a 3-star review, they don't get invited to my team. And in fact, I can block them so that they never give me a 3-star review again, unless they pay for the book, and then they can do whatever they want. Yeah. And then Hidden Gems, I believe, is like $10 and then $2 per person who signs up. So, that can, and then Book Sirens is the other one, and Book Sirens is a flat fee. Book Sirens is an interesting one. If you're publishing a lot, for $100, you can have as many arcs sent out for a whole year. Otherwise, it's a per book. But you have to, they will look, you have to basically be published already because they want to make sure that your book is fitting whatever caliber quality check they have. So
Okay, so there's organic ways to find ARC readers, and there are paid services to find ARC readers. And is it worth it to maybe do both, or try one or the other? Or
100%, because the organic ways, which are really a lot more work than the paid ways, put you in front, like on Instagram and social media places where you won't be reaching those readers. And personally, my own take on this is, even if an Instagrammer, Bookstagrammer only has 100 followers, 100 people, or if I look at their engagement and they only have a few people who like their posts, I give the book to them anyway. They're not going to buy my book, and it puts my book cover in front of even 100 more people. And we never know which, when those are going to be translate, the old advertising thing where people have to see you a number of times before they're willing to buy. It just makes sense.
Okay, so we're getting ready to launch, and it doesn't make any difference if it's your first book or your 50th book. You do this in advance. You do something to start building a reader list because you want to connect with the readers.
Yeah.
And I have to say I'm a little bit guilty here. I used to send out weekly email lists, and I had a much larger reader list when I did that. I got really busy with other stuff, kind of let it fall by the wayside, did a re-engagement campaign, and still had, I don't know, I had probably lost about 30% of people. And with my re-engagement campaign, I felt pretty good about that, but I was only sending out emails once a month. And I noticed that I've lost another 30%. So very definitely more is better. Once a month, very minimal, once a week if possible. And they don't have to be long emails, a little bit maybe about what's happening, a little bit about your book. As I mentioned, what I do is I recommend other romance authors, and I don't get anything from that. I am not an Amazon associate. I've tried many times and I never sold enough in a soon enough period of time for them to pay me anything. So it's like, forget it. I'm just going to promote these other books. If my readers like it, then that's great. But I do need to rebuild my list. And so you're thinking that services like book funnels and
Story
Origins and Prolific Works, or whatever it's called, those are good ways to build a reader list. In fact, I had forgotten about Prolific Works, and that is how I had done a lot of my list building. So it definitely works. And the nice thing, I don't know about the Story Origin and book funnels, but I know with Prolific Works, you can get into book clubs that way too. So that's always kind of nice. I was just amazed when one of my books, all of these people, I'm going, where are you all coming from? Then, delving into it a little bit deeper, I realized, oh, well, they were all in a book club. Yeah. So ARC readers and reader lists, separate things, starting at least 6 months in advance, or always yesterday for your readers, and at least 2 months in advance for ARC readers.
Yeah, I would say yes. And if you don't have 6 months, or if you don't have 2 months, then starting today, right? Like, and building for the next release. That's right. I mean, we are always building to the next release, right?
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about author newsletters. I almost always talk a little bit about author newsletters. And in this respect, lead magnets more. You had said that it should be something related to your book, and it should be. I mean, basically the idea of a lead magnet is to give potential readers an idea of your style. And one thing I found out, I don't know if it was the hard way or not, because I have no idea. I never got bad reviews, but my lead magnets were sweet and clean. and my books are not sweet and clean. So
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of an oops. Make sure that the heat levels kind of match.
yeah.
But as an idea for my lead magnets, which are in the process of being rewritten, I took my book's hero and I gave the short story, I think it's about 8,000 words, of his parents meeting. And then I also took my heroine's parents and did another short story of them meeting. So when, when I was using them, which, as I said, they're being rewritten, I would use one as a lead magnet to get people on my list. And in the list, I would promise them another one. So, I think I set up like 5 automations that would go out every 2 or 3 days. The first one was, thank you for joining my list. Here's the download for the first lead magnet. Keep an eye out because there is another one coming your way soon. And then the next one would be a little bit about me, my history as an author, as a person. And then the next one after that was the other lead magnet, and then one after that was like let's connect on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, and so you can set those up so that in the first couple of weeks or a week and a half or so, your new subscriber is getting an email constantly, not constantly, but every 2 or 3 days, without you having to work at it. And in order to get them on that list, and this is something that people do sometimes, you need to have a landing page to collect that email address. And you collect that before you give the lead magnet.
Yeah. And and that's another place where BookFunnel will come in really handy, because they will host that. So, or Story Origin, they do that hosting for you. So you don't have to worry about the tech. And I don't know what everyone is using for email services if you haven't yet set one up. MailerLite is fabulous. Their automations are wonderful, and you can have 1,000 subscribers before you have to start to pay. And another one that I still use, I started it, well, back in 2019, is SendFox. It's an AppSumo product, and it's like $50. I believe it's still $50 for a few thousand, and it's one payment. So you can grow. That's how I can, I have no qualms about growing and keeping folks on, but for the fact that you want your deliverability to be high. I mean, this is advanced, so you do want to prune off the folks who aren't opening, which is another reason why you really want to be mailing more than once a month, because engagement is calculated, on how many times have they opened in the last 3 months on SendFox and 6 months on MailerLite. So if you're only sending once a month, people become disengaged, and then SendFox doesn't want to send to them because it lowers their rating as an email service provider. So the weekly really is, it's valuable to you in many ways. And one more thing, and then I see Cindy. The other thing is with sharing, doing book swaps, and I'll see if when Paula Judith is talking again, I'll grab a link. Doing book swaps with other authors who write in your subgenre and at your steam level, your heat level, is really, really valuable for growing your list. For instance, if you share a lead magnet, or making sales, and just building those author relationships is another part of having a successful launch. So, Paula Judith is sharing your books, which is fabulous and generous. And she could then say, well, if my audience is the same as your audience, will you then also share my book with your audience? And it's that way when you're sending weekly, and you always have that something that you could share with your audience. It's like she was saying, you don't have to write a lot, but you could say, here's another book that if you loved my book, you're going to love this one too. So there we go.
Yeah. Cindy, why don't you unmute yourself?
Great. Thanks so much, both of you. This is really, really excellent information. So Paula Judith, can you reiterate those 5 emails that I started capturing them, and I
sure. And this video, probably not today, but by tomorrow, will be put up on YouTube. And so you will be able to see it again. If you're on my author list, then you will get an email saying that it's there. So anyway, so the first email says, thank you for signing up for my list. click here to download whatever the name of the lead magnet is. And personally, I don't like getting PDFs. I like to put things on my Kindle and be able to size it the way I want. I don't use a PDF as a lead magnet. I go ahead and I publish it as, I put it up, I publish it through KDP. And then I also put my lead magnet, I also publish it through Draft to Digital as an ebook. My lead magnets are ebooks only. And the nice thing is that I can put it for free on Draft to Digital. And then I contact KDP and I say, my book is free in like iTunes and Barnes and Noble and Kobo. Will you please match the price? I've never had them say no, and that gives me a perma-free lead magnet on Amazon. So anyway, besides that, my emails, the first one says, hi, thanks for subscribing. Here's blank, whatever blank's name is. The second email talks a little bit about me. My late husband and I, for 25 years, were involved in a Black Powder Mountain Man shooting club. So I have a picture of us in our garb on, I think it was the Hawaiian Chieftain is the tall ship that we were on in the Columbia River. And so, it has that picture. I really should take some pictures of my awards. I received awards for, woman's rifle. I don't think I ever got a knife and tomahawk, but woman's pistol, things like that. And so just a little bit about me there. And I think I also have another email in there. I think the third one, is the second lead magnet that I have. And then I think I have a little thing about me, about how after my husband passed away, I sold everything and lived in an RV. I still, 5 years later, I'm living in the RV, but I'm hoping to be in a house pretty soon. Just me and my doggie, tootling around the United States. And then my last one is, let's connect on whatever social media that you're on. So.
Super helpful. Thank you. I had missed number 4, so that's great. Thank you. And I love your pictures.
Oh, okay. Anybody else have any questions for Danika or me?
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Yeah.
So when it comes to lead magnets, you said it should be something like a little teaser that sort of shows your style so people can understand what you're about and have that magnet. What about something other than, so my first novel is called Bread Pudding in Barcelona. And I was encouraged to do something like, one of the lead magnets is to put out my bread pudding recipe.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's
not just more writing.
No, I think that's a great idea. I would have a little story along with that. And by the way, my late husband, his favorite recipe was my great grandmother's bread pudding recipe. So
thank you.
So you don't need 2 lead magnets. I just did that as an additional little enticement because I had 2 people that were hero and heroine, and they each had parents. So I figured, what the heck? And someday I will probably write a full novel about the hero's parents, but not the heroine's parents, because the heroine's mother died when she was just young. So that wouldn't be a very happy story to write, but, it could be an excerpt. It could be like the first 3-4 chapters of your book, how you have them on Amazon with that first free look inside. So you could do that as a lead magnet. You could do a deleted scene that didn't make it to the final book. You could give character backstory that never gets into the book. That's another thing to do. You could flesh out one of the side characters that maybe someday you'll write a book about, and maybe someday you won't write a book about, something like along those lines, just to give you some ideas of what might make lead magnets. Yeah. Any comments on that, Danika?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do. only. So I want to throw in another twist here. Lead magnet, reader magnet. So a couple of the things that Paula Judith was mentioning are also really fabulous to put. So at the back of your book, in your back matter. So once you have a reader, you want to grab, there are different things you could do. You either want to drive them to your next book, wherever it is available for sale, or a lot of authors think it's far more valuable to actually grab their email address first, and then you have them and you can start promoting. So a couple of the things that Paula Judith was just mentioning, for instance, deleted scenes would be something that would make a great reader magnet, and reader being, they're already read my book. So at the back of the book, I will say, get the deleted scene where, instead of whatever it is, right? But you have to give me your email address for that. A recipe is also a really one for a reader magnet, because, they've been thinking about bread pudding the whole time they've been reading your books, and now they want to make the darn bread pudding. Another one that you said, deleted scenes. Oh, the character sketches. So maybe a bit of backstory on one of the characters, what your hero or your heroine, or your MC or MC1 or MC2. So those are different from lead magnets. They can be the same, but often the reader magnet that comes at the end is giving them more about the world that they were just in.
Yeah, good point, Danika. And I like also the idea of backstory on the characters, because if we know our characters as well as we should know them, there's a lot about them that never makes it into the book. But we have to know that as an author in order to have an authentic character. But it is kind of fun, like, oh man, my readers don't know this about my character, and if they had known that, blah 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 blah. So backstory is a fun thing to put. Cindy, another question. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be. That's what we're here for.
So when I published Bread Pudding, it's the first book in the Blooming series, which is 4 books, and at the end of it I put the first chapter of book 2, which is called Something Will Sing to Your Heart. How do you feel about that? So it was kind of like, hey, if you loved this is coming out next year.
I always do that with a link to buy. What about you, Danika?
Both. So I used to I think it's a great idea to have the first chapter, especially if it ends on some kind of a cliffhanger where they're like, now a year from now is a long time. So if I were you, the first link I would put would be, get on my email list, because Amazon, if you read on a Kindle, you'll know this. As soon as you hit, and they lived happily ever after, that page break, whatever you have in that back matter, Amazon just blocks it out and says, rate this book. So a majority of people never actually make it to your back matter. So right at the end of And They Lived Happily Ever After, if you do a scene break and then say, the next book in this series is coming out, get on my email list so that I can give you the details, and then you have your scene break and you have the first chapter. Because you don't want to lose the opportunity to get them onto your list.
That is a really great point that you have there, Danika. And maybe it was something I knew and forgot.
There's so much to know. There's so much to forget, especially if we're in the menopause brain life. So much.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? We're happy to have, I call this an open discussion because I like to find out what other people are doing too. So anybody who wants to share what they are doing, we would love to know that.
And I've also put in the chat the newsletter author swap sign up spreadsheet. So if you decide you're wanting to do author swaps, just drop that into your Gmail or your G folder, your Google folder. And then I know Paula Judith did a fabulous talk about what she puts in her email automation, the welcome sequence. And there's basically what she said, but as a worksheet for you.
Good thinking, girl.
It's something that so many people ask for, right? And it's just, it's easy when you have a little map.
Yeah. Good. Super. Let me see. Newsletter swap sign up. Oh, there, we've got all kinds of neat stuff here, Danica. Thank you very much. Let me see this one here. There are two different things. If you haven't been in the chat to see these things from Danica, please do that. I wasn't smart enough to put together a little link for anybody who wants to do a swap with me, but Paula Judith Johnson at gmail.com will get me, or I'm on Facebook at the Romance Dreamweavers, which is for romance authors only. And if you aren't in the group, you are more than welcome to join the group. Anything else of interest?
Hi,
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Karen Bergman, first time author. My book is currently with beta readers. I worked with the Right Practice for a few years and worked with a great book coach. And I'm writing under a pen name. So I'm curious, what is, I guess, the best way to, still market the book while, using a pen name.
Well, I don't know about Danica. I happen to know that Paula Judith Johnson is not my birth name. And Danica, I know that you're incognito also. Anybody here that uses a pen name, I mark it under Paula Judith Johnson.
Yeah, there are lots of things to consider. My real name is Donna Barker, and on Facebook I am Donna Barker writing as Danika Bloom, because I was terrified that if I set up a Danika Bloom profile, I was going to be thrown in the dungeon, because you're not supposed to do that. And also, it's fine. It's fine that
and I'm always terrified that Facebook is going to find out that I'm not who I say I am and will ban me along with all the people in my group. But
But the things to consider, Karen, is like if you're wanting to be, like if you need your name to be private, your real identity to be private or not, because when folks are joining the Author Ever After community, one of the very first things, if they haven't published yet, I will work with them to set up all their social profiles as their pen name. So pick your pen name, get your Gmail with your pen name, and have everything kind of live together. So you sign up to your socials with your pen name Gmail as well, to keep everything organized.
I would say, instead of a Gmail, because it's so difficult these days, I would get I have paulajudithjohnson.com.
Yeah.
So I would get a domain with your pen name, and I have paulajudithjohnson.com. I have Paula at paulajudithjohnson.com, which is actually my business one. But for groups like this, it's like, go to Gmail, because that I will see you faster than on my other. But that's the one thing, is that this last February, there was all these changes on deliverability. And if you're going to be sending things out to readers, do it with a domain email address.
Okay, I do have that. I have kslyn.com through Bluehost, but it got very confusing working with WordPress and all that. Had a family member help me, so now I have Bluehost and Wix, but I haven't really touched it since. They're out of the state, so they're not here to physically help me. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a plug here, and maybe this would be for somebody a little bit more along the way, is I have moved everything over to Pub Funnels, which is an author-centric platform. I have my website, all of my funnels, all of my summits, all of my emails. I have a community in there that I've only just started, which I would love to get off of Facebook. I don't know if I'll ever get off of Facebook, but I can do that. I can put courses in there. So if you're going to have courses in there, you can actually have a store in there if you want to sell direct. So the only thing that at this point I find as a drawback to Pub Funnels, and it's like $99 a month, but when you think about everything else that you have to do, I was paying more than $99 a month for all the separate parts, and then trying to figure out how to get them to work together. But They don't have a way yet to upload anything. I mean, they can upload PDFs, but not something on Kindle, whatever that is. I don't remember what it's called. But they do with the store have the ability that if you want to sell direct, you can hook that up with Lulu. And when somebody buys on your website, it automatically sends it to Lulu, who will print the book if it's a print book and send it off. And if you, publish through KDP or Draft to Digital, you can always have that link on there and that will deliver the correct format to them. So, something to think about for the future. If you start going crazy with all the spaghetti connecting things that disconnect at times.
Right. Yeah. To answer your question, Danica, I live in upstate New York. My family members in Florida. So
Well, that's yeah. At least you're the same time zone.
yeah.
Yeah, what a challenge that has been sometimes when you're not.
I just put in the chat too, there's a service website service called Card, CARRD.co. I didn't check it. I believe that's what it is. And they have templates for $10 a year. You can use their templates. I've helped a number of the authors in the community just get there. Super simple. I'm not yet published, but I want to have a presence and I have my URL. And we literally, it takes 90 minutes to set up a website. Super easy. Just for the basic. You can't have a store there. You can't do any of that stuff, but you can at least have a presence and show, something about your author self.
And that's great because starting out, you don't need to have all the bells and whistles. You just need to get out there. And then once you're ready for those bells and whistles, then you can do something like an author-centric platform. Yeah. So. Okay, great. Anybody else? Because we're running down to the end of our time here today. Oh, you're muted, Danica.
Oh, I was just saying 1 minute, 1 minute.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Danica, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge. I really appreciate it. And Danica is going to be one of the featured speakers at the Writing Romance Mastery Summit in August, which I'm thrilled to have her there too.
I'm thrilled to have been invited. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, everybody, this will be up on YouTube. I'm going to say tomorrow because I've got a lot of other things on my schedule today, but thank you everyone for showing up.